And we're back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are now going to preview the Saturday doubleheader. We'll go through both games, and I'll give you my picks for those games. These games are relatively, in my opinion, easy to pick. But who knows? I mean, it's me, so the opposite could happen. But I don't think so. I did win last night. I took the Rams. Again, I was a little nervous with the 4 points. But the Rams were the better team. And I don't trust the Saints. And maybe if a lot of these teams that I didn't pick every single week, if I would have just went against them, I'd be in a much better position right now. And the Saints are one of those teams because there are a lot of weeks I would take the Saints and they would let me down. But I didn't take them the last 2 weeks and they won and covered. So, but let's go through these two games now here. Enough talking about the Thursday game. So, the first game, that'll be on NBC and Peacock. The second game will be exclusively on Peacock, so make sure to, if you don't have it, download it, get a free trial, whatever you got to do. Call a friend, a family member, because if it wasn't for my cousin, I wouldn't have access to that streaming service. So, although the game is not very enticing now because there's no Justin Herbert and no Keenan Allen, but yeah, so at least the first game will be on TV. So that'll be on NBC and Peacock. But you got the Cincinnati Bengals at 8-6 taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers at 7-7. The over/under is 38. Pittsburgh is a 2.5-point underdog. Mason Rudolph will be getting the start in this game. Will he guide the Steelers to a victory on Saturday? No, he will not. I really don't expect much from the Steelers' offense in this game. They just have been struggling. And, I'm also saying that because I'm starting the Bengals in one of the leagues that I'm in the playoffs in. So I'm hoping the Bengals defense does well. The thing is, though, there's most likely going to be no Jamar Chase for this game, which is huge for the Steelers because they're going to be without Minkah Fitzpatrick, who suffered a knee injury against the Colts. So he's out. You got no DeMonte Casey. He's out, suspended, the rest of the year. So the Steelers in the secondary, it's going to be a little bit of an issue. Now, on the Bengals side, so Jamar Chase is going to be out with the shoulder injury this week. So look for T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd to step up and be more, get more targets, of course. T. Higgins had a really good game. He's coming off of a good game against the Vikings, scoring 2 touchdowns. But again, for fantasy, I don't need him to do that. I'm trying not to see that happen. But with the Steelers and what's going on in their secondary, it could be in for a big game. But to kind of compare the two teams, so passing yards per game, the Bengals are 12th, the Steelers are 31st. Rushing yards, the Steelers are actually 16th. In rushing, which is middle of the pack, and you would think that'd be worse. But Jaylen Warren has definitely helped out with that. Najee Harris, not so much. The Bengals are 31st in rushing. And then points per game, Bengals are 14th, Steelers are 28th, averaging 15.9 points per game. Then you go to the defensive side of the ball. Steelers are 18th against the pass, Bengals are 27th. Rushing yards per game, Steelers are 22nd against the run, Bengals are 28th. And then points allowed, the Steelers are 9th, and the Bengals are 20th. For me, I think the Bengals win and cover. I really just don't trust the Steelers right now. And you would think like they're due for a win. And again, would I be surprised if they win somehow? Because again, Jake Browning is a backup quarterback, but he's shown us something. With the Steelers' backup quarterbacks, not so much. Is Mason Rudolph better than Mitchell Trubisky? Maybe, but is that really saying much? No, not really. And they got a lot of issues. The George Pickens situation, with him not blocking for Jaylen Warren, and, he said that, he basically was making a business decision. But it's just a mess right now, and I just right now the Steelers are on a downward spiral, and I just don't really see them winning, especially again with with the injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, listen, TJ Watt could take over the game and he could force a turnover and score a touchdown. I mean, we've seen that. We saw that earlier this year. The Steelers had 2 defensive touchdowns against the Browns earlier in the season. So, I don't know. I just feel like the Steelers are kind of on a downward spiral, and I think that continues. I think the Bengals are the better team. Jake Browning's playing good football. So I unfortunately I gotta take the Bengals in this game to win and cover. So yeah, that's with the first game. So then we go to the second game, and again, I'm set on who I'm taking in this game, as many other people probably. So you got the Buffalo Bills and the LA Chargers. Now, earlier in the season, you see this game and you're like, wow, okay. I mean, listen, got to get a streaming service, another streaming service for this game. But hey, you know what? Josh Allen against Justin Herbert, there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. Well, now we're getting into this game, and there's going to be no Justin Herbert. There's going to be no Keenan Allen. The Chargers are coming off of a 63-21 loss to the Las Vegas Raiders. The Buffalo Bills coming off of a blowout win against the Cowboys, 31-10. I got the Bills winning by 2 touchdowns in this game. I think they cover this number, 12.5. Chargers are 12.5-point underdogs. The line was at 14, then it went down to 12. But I don't think the Chargers are keeping up with the Bills. Now, the Chargers did fire Brandon Staley. So now everyone's like, well, they fired their head coach, and that could, the team could play better now. Listen, the Bills are on a roll right now. I don't see the Chargers keeping this within the number. I don't, because they got to put up points, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. Now the Bills defense is dealing with some injuries, of course. Something the Cowboys you thought would exploit, but not really. I think the Bills win by... I mean, the Bills definitely are winning. But again, it's a big number, but I'm going to take Josh Allen and trust him and that Bills offense over what, the Chargers have. Especially, again, they're without Keenan Allen. So you're going to have Quentin Johnson, Joshua Palmer have to step up. So you look at the league rankings. Obviously, it's different without Herbert. But, the Chargers were averaging, 258.5 passing yards per game. That's 9th in the NFL. Bills are 13th in passing yards per game. Rushing yards per game, the Bills are 6th. Chargers are 27th. And then the Bills are 6th in points, and the Chargers are 17th. And on the defensive side of the ball, the Bills are 9th against the pass. The Chargers' defense is 32nd. Then rush against the run, Bills are 15th. Chargers are 18th. Then points allowed, Bills are 4th. Chargers are 28th. So, yeah, I mean, the Chargers' defense hasn't been good. So that combined with, the injuries at quarterback, I mean, I think the Bills win. They should win like 31-13 or something. That should be like the final score, I think. But, we'll see. I mean, this is a big game for the Bills. Big game for the Bills, big game for the Bengals. I mean, right now these teams are, they're rolling right now. And, when it comes to the wild card, I mean, you got C.J. Stroud who's not going to be playing, so that's big, because in case, the Texans lose. I mean, the Texans are playing the Browns, so if the Browns win, and the Bills win, that helps the Bills. They jump over the Texans. Yeah, I mean, listen, right now, I mean, I think the Bills are going to find a way to get in. I think they are. Because what's going on with the Texans and Stroud being hurt, I think that's going to hurt them, at least this week. I mean, they did win against the Titans in Tennessee. That was huge, but I feel like this game against the Browns is going to be tough. I think the Browns are going to win that game. And the Bills, I think, are going to win on Saturday. So they're going to jump over the Texans. And then we'll see with the Colts and the Falcons. That game should be interesting. That game, I think, is a toss-up. I know people are just really confident the Colts are going to win, but I don't know. I mean, listen, Atlanta's not – their team on paper is not bad, and they're at home. If they get good quarterback play, I mean, who knows? That game could definitely be dicey. I don't think it's a slam dunk that the Colts are going to win on Sunday. They are getting Jonathan Taylor back, which helps. I believe. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. It just doesn't help for the Bills because the Bengals have the tiebreaker over them. And also, they can't really afford a loss and the Broncos to win because the Broncos have a tiebreaker over them too. But listen, the Bills got them. They got the Bills got the Chargers, and they got the Patriots. So, I mean, they should be at 10 wins by week 18. It's just going to be that game. It's going to come down to the Dolphins game, for them to get in, and will they be able to do that? But yeah, they still got some teams they got to leapfrog over, but I feel like they could do it. I do. And the Bengals, I mean, listen, you got the Steelers, then you got the Chiefs after that in Arrowhead. You hope you get Chase back, because if they don't have Chase back for that game, it's going to be tough. I mean, they're going to be without Burrow already. So, but hey, listen, Jake Browning hasn't played bad. So, it's just kind of crazy how they're 0-4 in the division this year. But I think they get a win on Saturday, tomorrow, actually. I could say tomorrow. But let me know what you guys think about these games. Who do you think's going to win? How do you see these games shaping out? I mean, I think these games are relatively easy for Saturday, at least. But, again, we'll see. I mean, I'm going to turn on the TV and Jake Browning's going to throw a pick six or something to TJ Watt. But listen, the Steelers, they had a 13-0 lead against the Colts, and then everything fell apart. The Steelers are just not a good team right now. And I just don't really see... I really don't see them... I mean, unless Kenny Pickett comes back and saves the season, which it doesn't seem like that's happening, they're going to continue to get bad QB play, and their offense isn't going to score points. Their offense just does not score points. And you got injuries on defense, so it's just... It's going to be tough. But again, the Bengals aren't the best at running the football. Jamar Chase is out. So, I mean, you never know. But I would still lean towards the Bengals. And then the second game, I mean, the Bills should win by, more than 2 touchdowns. I mean, just cover the number. So, so I'm taking the Bengals and I'm taking the Bills. So 2 favorites, But I just can't. I don't trust the Steelers and the Chargers. I get it, but new coach, but it's just I don't trust them covering against the Bills. The Bills are rolling. So before we go into our second break of the show, once again, I just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, this is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So, when we get back from our second break of the show, we will preview all the games for Sunday. I'll give you my picks on those, and that will be the third part of the show when we come back. So, once again, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.